Alright, first and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Yahukakodash, double honors unto the apostles and the elders of great mercy that surely do well. Peace and blessings goes out to the brethren through the four corners of this world that continue to push this world. In all sincerity and with total diligence, this is your brother Matina here, coming to the Spirit and the power of the Lord, to do our lesson to edify the Lord's flock. And this lesson gonna be based on the new moon and the Sabbath. And I'm gonna start with this first precept here. Genesis 1 and verse 14. It says, and God said, Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven, and to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. So scriptures say that the Lord said, let there be lights in the firmament to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. And He created the stars, the sun, and the moon. And then it goes on to say in verse 16 that He created two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, which is the sun, and the lesser light to rule the night, which is the moon. And they're having this, people have this thought that, we crazy, or we teaching false doctrine by saying the moon dictates the monthly Sabbath, which it just goes back to people being blinded, and people just want to scoff. And not that they just want to scoff, that is what it was chosen to do. That is the portion that the Lord, gave unto them, to scoff at the word, because here we are bringing facts to everything we saying, and they're all saying that don't matter again. These things exist again. These words not true, but you're believing in something that have literally zero evidence behind it, which is the Sabbath being Friday evening, sundown, or Friday at sundown to Saturday at sundown. If you look in the scriptures, you would never see that Saturday the Lord say Friday evening to Saturday evening. He never said that. No. Nor did He say that the seventh day is Saturday. And they would fight these points. When the answer is very easy. The answer is within the scriptures. Follow the new moon. Follow the course of the moon, because it's the course of the moon that dictates the Sabbaths. I'm gonna prove how. So said in verse 14, it says, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. Over season, over days, over years, the sun and the moon dictate these things. When I go into Sirach 43 and starting from verse 5, it says, great is the Lord that made it, and at His commandment runneth hastily. He made the moon also to serve in her season, for a declaration of times and a sign of the world. And in Genesis chapter 1 verse 14, it said something similar, for it to be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. It says, from the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. See, so from the moon is a sign of feast. What feast in particular? new moon feast. The when to keep the Sabbath, it's from the new moon. When the new moon comes in, they would know that that is the beginning of the month. The beginning of the month is our Sabbath, so that would be our rest day. So the first day of the month is our rest day, and then you would have 6 working days, and then you would have at the end of those 6 working days the 8th day, which is after the 6 working days, you will have another Sabbath. I'll go into it. It says, from the moon is a sign of feast, a light that decreases in the perfection, because it depending on the amount of light it gives, it tells you, what part of the month you're at. So, so you could determine when is the feast coming up, when it's going to be Passover, when it's going to be the 7th day of the month, when it's going to be the 20th day of the month, and so on. It says the month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven. So the scripture said the month is called after her name. What it means by that? Well, when you look up the word month in the online etymology or any dictionary, you should see this. It says 1/12 part of the year, one of the 12 parts into which a calendar year is arbitrarily divided. And when you go down to the words, it says it says Gothic menops, which means month, which is related to menon or moon. It says originally the month was the interval between one new moon and the next. So a month doesn't just randomly fall, today is the first, but it's falling on our first quarter or our last quarter. See, that don't make no sense. A month, it says originally the month was the interval between one new moon and the next. So when you say a new month, they basically saying, in other words, a new moon. A new moon comes in, alright, that is a new month. Look up the word moon. It says the heavenly body which revolves about the earth monthly. And then go down. Go down. Go down here. It says Greek mene, moon, men, month. That is where you get the term menstrual from. Menstrual cycle. Where these women have their menstrual cycle, which lasts approximately, or on average, 28 or 29 days. 28 or 29 days. So they get all these terms come from the same, the same origin, which is the moon. The moon dictates these things. Let me see if there's any more meat here. It says alright, that's basically it. But you see where it says the month is called after her name. That's because it have the same word. With moon and month have the same origin. And Latin, I believe, is mene, as you saw earlier on, mene, which means month or moon. So a new moon would basically mean a new month. You see? So the Lord gave these signs for these things, and that is what dictates the Sabbath. Matter of fact, it is the first Sabbath of the month. When you go into I get a scripture before I go into that. Amos 8 and verse 5. It says, saying, it says verse 4, hear this, O ye that swallow up the needy, even to make the poor of the land to fail, saying, when will the new moon be gone, that we may sell corn, and the Sabbath, that we may set forth wheat? And why they want the new moon be gone to be able to sell corn? Because they couldn't sell corn, or they couldn't sell or buy or sell or do any transaction on the Sabbath. So they say, hey, when the new moon will be gone, so that we will be able to sell corn again. Because the new moon is a Sabbath. If the new moon wasn't a Sabbath, they wouldn't have been restricted from selling or buying on the new moon. It says, making that we may set forth wheat. So I'm gonna read it from the start. It says, Amos 8:5 again. It says, saying, when will the new moon be gone, that we may sell corn, and the Sabbath, that we may set forth wheat, making the ephah small and the shekel great, and falsifying the balances by deceit. So on the new moon, they were restricted from doing activities that you are restricted from doing on a regular Sabbath, because the new moon is a Sabbath day. Further proof, Ezekiel 46. Oh my God, I need to blow that out. Ezekiel 46. Ezekiel 46 and 1. It says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, the gate of the inner court that looketh toward the east shall be shut the 6 working days, but on the Sabbath it shall be open, and in the day of the new moon it shall be open. So again, if the new moon was a working day, it would have been open. But because the new moon is also a Sabbath, it is shut on both the regular Sabbath days and on the new moon Sabbath as well. When you look up the word new moon here, look up the word new moon here. You're supposed to see Kadash, which further proves my point. It says the new moon, month, monthly, the first day of the month, which if something or if the new moon said if it's the first or something, what I mean it's beginning, so that I mean it is new. It says the lunar month. It says new moon, by implication a month. He'll go down to the Senior's Hebrew Child Lexicon. It says the new moon, the day of the new moon, the calends of a lunar month, which was a festival of the ancient Hebrews, which is the beginning of the lunar month. So all these things would prove to us that, a month is determined by the moon, and the Sabbath is determined by when the month starts. Because if a new moon falls, like for example, the new moon falls this evening, Tuesday evening to Wednesday evening, the rest of the Sabbaths gonna fall Tuesday evening to Wednesday evening. Have 6 working days in between all, and then at the end of the 5 Sabbaths, which is the new moon Sabbath and the 4 weekly Sabbath, it would have another new moon, which is the beginning of another month. This year show that the first day of the month is on the new moon, and I'm gonna get that in 1 Samuel as well. 1 Samuel 20. And verse verse 20, verse 24, it says, "So David hid himself in the field, and when the new moon was come, the king sat him down to eat meat," because it was the new moon feast. "And the king sat upon his seat, and as other times, even upon his seat by the wall. And Jonathan arose, and Abner sat by Saul's side, and David's place was empty. Nevertheless, Saul spake not anything that day, for he thought something had befallen him. He is not clean, surely he is not clean. And it came to pass on the morrow, which is the day after the new moon, which was the second day of the month, that David's place was empty. And Saul said unto Jonathan his son, Wherefore cometh not the son of Jesse to meat, neither yesterday nor today?" So this itself proves that the new moon is the first day of the month. So let me think about it. New moon is the first day of the month, right? And then you would have 6 working days, because the new moon is a Sabbath. So that is not a working day. You're not counting that as a working day. It is a Sabbath. So you have the first day is a Sabbath, and then you have 6 working days. So that is the second day to the 7th day is the working week, and then you would have the 8th day. The 8th day of the month is another Sabbath, and then 6 working days again, and then the 15th day of the month is a Sabbath. So, as I said before, whenever this new moon comes in, whenever it may be, that dictates the rest of Sabbaths for the month, for the duration of that month. So it doesn't change. So this idea that I have that the Sabbath does fall on Friday to Saturday, that will throw off a lot of things concerning the scriptures, because when you're trying to keep the Passover, that doesn't line up with Passover, and the Passover is also a Sabbath. The Passover is also a Sabbath, and guess what? The Passover is the 15th day of the month, which is the 3rd Sabbath of the month. New moon, first quarter, full moon, the 3rd Sabbath of the month. So when you're trying to prove us wrong, you gotta bring a strong reasoning. Because as I say, if Friday, Saturday is the Sabbath, and the Passover doesn't line up with Friday and Saturday, what you're gonna do? You're gonna keep your regular Friday, Saturday, Sabbath, and then the Passover, Sabbath, because the Passover is determined by the moon. Sure as hell they know that. The 14th day at evening of the first month. And if you didn't keep it in the first month, the 14th day at evening of the second month, which is the 15th day. The scripture, Isaiah 66. Isaiah 66 and 23. It says, "And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord, Shai." That would have been the days when the temple would have been open. According to Ezekiel 46, but the scripture say, these are Psalms 90, Psalms 81. It says, "Blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed, on our solemn feast day." So you have to blow up a trumpet in the new moon, because the new moon is a feast day, and then it had a feast day on the seventh new moon, which is the beginning of the seventh month, which is the day of blowing of the trumpets, which I believe is Leviticus 23. Let me see, could be wrong. Leviticus. Yeah, Leviticus 23 and verse 23, it says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the seventh month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, and a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh." So you had the Lord gave us these feast days, and the Lord tell us how to know when is it time for these feast days, and he said he gave us the moon and the sun and the stars for signs and for days and for feasts and for years. And people completely ignore it and say, we just going with what we know now. The Romans say this Saturday is the seventh day of the week. So guess what? Saturday is the seventh day of the week. That is how we're keeping it. Well, if you're keeping it, so why don't just keep it with the new way they keep the measured time as well? From 12 a.m. to 12 a.m. Why are you keeping it from evening? You see, you only want to pick and choose what you want to do. If you're doing it the modern way, if you're saying that, the old way doesn't matter, then what you should do is keep it from Saturday 12 a.m. to Sunday 12 a.m. or to Saturday 11:59 p.m. from midnight to midnight, and not from sunset to sunset. And then I'll have these that saying that the Sabbath day is it's just the daytime, so you have to keep it when the sun rise on Saturday morning till when the sun set on Saturday evening, which is badness again, which is more badness, because we know a day entails 24 hours. A day comprises of 24 hours. Not because it's a day talking about daytime. That is when they want to twist the scriptures to how they want to keep the Lord's word. And read Numbers 10. It says, also in it, it says, also in the day of your gladness and in your solemn days and in the beginnings. I should read from verse 8. It says, "And the sons of Aaron the priest shall blow with the trumpets, and they shall be to you for an ordinance forever throughout your generations. And if you go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresseth you, then you shall blow an alarm with the trumpets, and you shall be remembered before Yahweh your power, and you shall be saved from your enemies, also in the day of your gladness, and in your solemn days, and in the beginning of your months." See, it's not just the seventh month, because men say that Sabbath was just for the seventh month. That's blowing up that trumpet for the seventh month, because the Lord said they keep it in the seventh month. No. It says, and in the beginning of your months. Read over from verse 9. It says, "And if you go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresseth you, then ye shall blow an alarm with the trumpets, and ye shall be remembered before Yahweh your power, and ye shall be saved from your enemies, also in the day of your gladness, and in your solemn days, and in the beginning of your months. Ye shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings, and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before God. I am Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua, your power." Don't try to twist the scripture according to how you people want to twist it. Back to these Psalms. Let me see Psalms 81. Yeah. It says, "Blow you up the trumpets, the new moon in the time appointed." Okay, have more than one time appointed to blow up the trumpet on our solemn feast day. was the beginning of the month, the first Sabbath of the month, according to Ezekiel 46 and 1, Amos 8 and 5, Leviticus 23 and 24, and then you would have your regular working week, your 6 days, and the 7th day. At the end of those 6 days, your regular weekly Sabbath, which would fall in the same timing of your new moon Sabbath. But there's see what precepts I have here. It says Exodus 20 and verse 10, it says, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy power, in it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. It says Exodus 35 and 2, 6 days shall work be done, but on the 7th day shall there be to you an holy day, a Sabbath day of rest. Whosoever doeth work therein shall be put to death. And that no longer applies. The penalty for that no longer applies, where if a man breaks the Sabbath, he gets put to death one time immediately, because in this land of our captivity, we can't keep the Sabbath perfectly. So that is where grace comes in, where the blood of Yahushai comes in to deliver us from the judgment appointed for breaking the Sabbath. So when it says the 6 days shall he do work, on the 7th day, not speaking about 6 days starting from the beginning of the month, talking about 6 days from after the new moon Sabbath. So you have the new moon Sabbath, and then you would have 6 working days, and then you would have your 7th day of the week, which would be the weekly Sabbath. So if the new moon comes in tonight, which is Tuesday evening to Wednesday evening, you would have your 6 working days starting from Wednesday evening, back to Tuesday evening again, Wednesday evening, Thursday evening, Friday evening, Saturday evening, Sunday evening, Monday evening. That is 6. And then you would have your Sabbath again, a regular weekly Sabbath from Tuesday evening to Wednesday evening next week. That is how you just check it. They have nothing to do with Friday and Saturday. Matter of fact, those are just names of Greek and Roman and Norse gods. The name of planets and the name of the days of the week and the months of the year goes back to the names of pagan gods. And that is who you really commemorating or worshipping by, keeping your Sabbath days or keeping any holiday according to these days or these holy holidays that they set up for us. So with that, I want to give all the praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahushai, Ba'asham Kodash, double honors unto the apostles and the elders of great ministers that surely do well. Peace and blessings again unto the brotherhood, the brethren, and the sincere sister that listen in silence. Until next time, this is your brother Martin saying Shalom.